Anyway, sorry. Shall we do this thing? Kia ora and welcome to this episode. Kia ora and welcome to this episode of The Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite life coach. With me is Rachel Pilwell, Austenite, book buyer, and all-round nerd.
Hi!
Today we're discussing chapter 35 of Emma by Jane Austen. In chapter 35, it's still the dinner at the Woodhouses. Mrs. Elton's being rude as fuck.
What a surprise. Are we sure this isn't just the same chapter as the previous one?
The same thing where we're like, oh, we thought that was one chapter. It's actually two. She sucks. Again, Mrs. Elton sucks.
We should get that on a t-shirt.
I can make one. Mr. Weston arrives and tells everybody that Frank is coming to visit.
Woo! The boys are back.
The ladies go to the drawing room after dinner. Mrs. Elton continues to judge and behave ill, is how Emma puts it, as opposed to, like, be a total bitch, and separates herself and Jane Fairfax. There's Jane and Mrs. Elton on one side, Mrs. Weston and Emma on the other. Mrs. Elton won't let them mix. Jane tries, but no, it's just not happening.
That's just so awkward. That's such an awkward action. Being
a bitch in somebody else's house.
Segregating your friend from everybody else is the only way my brain... I was trying to think of a word that wasn't segregating, but that is kind of what it is, where she's just like keeping Jane away from everyone. And it's like, you are at a dinner party where you're supposed to mingle and talk to people.
Again, it's Mrs. Elton not understanding the rules. She is showing really bad manners. She is being rude, especially in Emma's house.
For Emma to do her hostess duties, you've got to talk to her. That's not very many people. To then just split that group in half so two of them can whisper privately is really freaking weird.
And it's all Mrs. Elton, because it's clear that Emma and Mrs. Weston are willing to talk to them, and Jane is willing to talk, but Mrs. Elton keeps cutting it off and having private conversations with Jane, where she's basically bullying Jane, by the way. She's still upset about the post office thing. Then she moves on to, we need to get you a job as a governess. Remember a couple of chapters back when she's like, she's buried away now here. She thinks that Jane's there to stay. She doesn't think Jane's going back or anything. And Jane has said, yeah, at some point I'm going to go and be a governess.
And Mrs. Elton, I guess, is like, oh, you've got to be a governess here, near me.
Well, not necessarily near me, but I have to get you the job.
So she can take the credit for it. Jane really gets such a rough deal and rough treatment from everybody during this book. Like, Emma's a dick to her for so long. And then Emma starts kind of easing up, only for Mrs. Elton to come along and be an even bigger bitch.
Imagine being Jane, though. Like, she's so superior to everyone. She is, goddess level. And this bitch is like, no, I'm in charge of you and I'm going to get you a job as a governess with one of my friends. Like, trying to be a nice person, but you're really trashy and your friends are going to be trashy too.
I don't think I even have like a fifth of the patience Jane has. Like, I can't imagine being in this current situation.
Let alone living with Miss Bates.
Oh God. No, thank you.
No.
Jane is a genuine saint. I couldn't even be in this room, I think, without being like, leave me alone. Like, Jane should be saying, why are you so obsessed with me? Girl, Mrs. Elton, take a goddamn chill pill. Leave the woman alone. Maybe Mrs. Elton is a lesbian. Jane is a prize catch.
She is. I wonder if part of it's also because she's like, I'm her patroness. I need to get her these things. Making Jane a governess would make her a notch below Mrs. Elton, and she needs that because you gotta be able to tell that Jane is superior to you in every other way.
Because if Jane married well,
which she does,
then she's higher up than Mrs. Elton on the totem pole. Mrs. Elton couldn't handle that. She really just wants like a posse who like fawn over her. She wants her own congregation.
She does. The Church of Mrs. Elton.
Praise be Mrs. Elton.
Mrs. Elton's, again, completely ignoring everything that Jane says. Just like with the letters, I'm going to write to Mrs. Partridge. Tell her to look out for something for you.
She loves talking about Maple Grove. Just such stilted, weird conversation, again, for her to, like, just be like, you do not know how many candidates there always are for the first situations. I saw a vast deal of that in the neighborhood around Maple Grove. Cousin of Mr. Suckling. Sorry, still hate that name.
Mrs. Bragg. What about that name?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Wow, what a surprise. Well, in Maple Grove, the best place in the world, it's actually really hard to get a job, which is obviously because everybody obviously wants to work around Maple Grove.
Like, bitch, have you ever met any member of the aristocracy? People are going to want to be governess at Lord So-and-so's house, not Mrs. Bragg or Mr. Suckling.
Anytime I say it, I hate it.
The audacity of her to be like, you have not seen so much of the world as I have. Mrs. Elton, you don't live in London.
Yeah.
Do you know that Jane lives in London? Jane says, I will go and make inquiries myself. There are places in town, offices for sale, not quite of human flesh, but of human intellect. And Mrs. Elton goes, my dear, human flesh, you quite shock me. If you mean a fling at the slave trade, I assure you Mr. Suckling was always rather a friend to the abolition. Because of where she's from, Bristol, that was one of the slave trading ports.
Austen doesn't really comment very much on things like the slave trade, which
she
obviously
also doesn't comment on the idea of women having to marry someone that they don't like so that they have a comfortable home, because she does things really subtly.
I think I've just always overlooked that line. I don't think I've ever stopped and thought about it. This tells us that Jane Austen was also pro, like, abolishment of slavery as well.
Yep.
Which makes me feel really good that my favourite author was not pro-slave trade as someone of colour.
There was big controversy a couple of years ago because it was found that her father was on the board of a plantation. This is how a lot of people during that time made money. Not cool, but that was a thing. There's a letter that Jane Austen wrote. She just read a book by an abolitionist and basically said, I think I'm in love with him.
I love it.
In like the 80s, there was a big push to view Mansfield Park as about slavery, and there are a lot of links to slavery that you can see in there, and the slave trade is mentioned in there.
It's been a while since I've read Mansfield Park, probably even longer than since I last read Emma.
I am open to rereading all of the novels with you and going back over them.
Sounds good.
I would love that. Jane does comment on the slave trade. People get really pissed about Jane Austen saying she doesn't comment on politics, she doesn't comment on war, she doesn't comment on slavery. She does. She just doesn't slap you in the face because you can't.
I really respect that Jane Austen doesn't force feed us. I'm given a spoon, but I get to put it in my own mouth. She doesn't agree with the slave trade. Well, that's her view, but she's put it in such a subtle way.
Austen puts these great lines into the mouths of characters that people don't listen to. Mrs. Elton was talking about the great comfort of being at home, which was not what she meant, because she likes to go out and party. And this, slave trade, not great. Although she doesn't actually say that. She just says, Mr. Suckling was always rather a friend to the abolition. It's never stated how Mrs. Elton's family made their money. It's somewhere in trade, and it being from Bristol, some people have suspected that, if not current family, but like generations back, may have been involved in the slave trade. You make money from kidnapping.
Sadly,
and abuse.
People still make money from that. Mrs. Elton's family potentially could have, but it feels like with this line about how Mr. Suckling is a friend of the abolition that he didn't make his money that way. Otherwise, why would he be pro-abolition?
But it could also be that they're trying to hide that past.
Covering it up.
These days you'd call it human trafficking.
Still the slave trade.
Human trafficking, always has been. Jane says, I wasn't thinking of the slave trade, governess trade, but I'm not sure
Are they
who it's
kidnapping
worse
governesses
for.
now?
She kind of implies that they both suck. They are both like sort of taken away from home, made not exactly part of a family, and then just kind of used and
then like when they don't need you anymore, you're just gotten rid of. But I mean, I guess you'd have to find a new job, but they would potentially give you a reference and tell another friend to hire you instead, so they're just swapping you off to somebody else.
Governesses don't get paid much. They work really hard with brats, and they don't have any equals. They are not equal with the family, they're not equal with the servants, and technically they're being paid for their work. I'm not in any way saying that is worse than slavery, obviously, but it's a really confusing space, at least to a certain extent in slavery. You know where you stand.
The roles are a lot more defined. It's not oppression, but it's still servitude. An interesting aside.
It's a very distressing aside, there are probably few people who don't have family members who have been involved in one side of slavery or the other.
We found, when we went back to Mauritius, that on my dad's side, not slavery, but very likely indentured servants from India. Which isn't much better. Mm-mm. But then on my mum's side, Dutch heritage. Potentially, I have both slaver and slave. Go back far enough in history and you're bound to find something that makes you go, oh no, history is terrible.
We have this idea that we're so much more evolved.
Really not.
We're really not. I don't know enough about my history to exactly know. On my dad's side, there was like English aristocrat of some sort, and then like a Māori princess. Princess, not quite the right term.
But yeah, like...
And they kind of got together, and I'm like, yeah, so more likely to have been slave owners than slave. Still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Elton keeps pressing and keeps pressing. God, I want her to shut up. It's so uncomfortable. And someone who doesn't have to worry about this telling you how important it is you get a job when they don't need to worry about it.
She's never had a job. She's never had to work. She was wealthy enough before she got married. Now she's married, so she just has to keep house. But she's still so condescending to Jane. But also, she just pretends to be so much more worldly. Yeah. You don't know what it's like to work a full week. It's not like when she's a governess that she'll just get, like, weekends off. It's not a 9 to 5.
A lot of servants would get, like, an afternoon or, like, a day and an afternoon off sort of thing.
Yeah. Sunday probably for church or something like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Jane, again, is like, I'm very serious and not wishing anything to be attempted at present for me. I shall remain where I am and as I am while I wait for my boyfriend.
Because she's talking about getting this role as a governess, and she's obviously unmarried now, but when she does get married Frank, she's seeming to make these governess plans. That's why she doesn't want, no, don't worry, leave it to me, because yeah, she'd feel obligated if her friend got her a job to take it and do the work. But then she won't be there for very long because she's planning to get married to Frank.
And that's what makes it really messy at the end, because Jane's like, well, Frank has fucked off. We are done. I'm going to take Mrs. Elton up on that job she found me. And then Frank finds out and goes, oh, shit.
That was the moment. He knew he fucked up. I'm just picturing being Jane and just having to say, no, I'm good. Like, no, I wanted to go to the post office. No, I don't want you to get me a job. Just listen to the woman, okay? Please.
And smiling through gritted teeth. Thank you so much.
And having to be so polite.
Yeah.
Having to be so polite while you're just trodden on. Honestly, does Emma step in and say anything here? Leave her alone?
Mrs. Elton keeps cutting her out and trying to talk to Jane quietly about things. The only thing that stops Mrs. Elton is when Mr. Woodhouse appears. So he's the first man to come back. He's my old beau. Only think of his gallantry in coming away before the other men. She thinks it's for her. Doesn't know that this is how he is. He doesn't like sitting with the men and drinking and talking. He wants to be by the fire, eating snacks with the ladies and maybe not talking to them. But
he's come to check on his guests and then stay warm and away from everybody else.
She goes from he's so into me to trying to get compliments on her dress. Is it over-trimmed? I have a horror of finery. It's expected of me. A bride must appear like a bride. My natural taste is all for simplicity. I don't believe that for a second.
Not even your personality, nothing says simple, except for your brain, maybe.
It's not my style. It's far too fancy. But also, what if I did this on my other dress too?
Do you think I'd look really pretty? Do you think
like I look pretty now? Do you think
I would actually look much better if I was more adorned and not my simple vibe? Like, I look amazing, right? I look amazing, don't I?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So all the men come back into the drawing room. It's not said how long. Then Mr. Weston appears, because remember, he's had to go to town. Even Mr. Woodhouse is happy to see him.
Best friends arrived. Wait, one of his best friends.
John Knightley is like, why the hell didn't he stay at home? What is wrong with this man? He's been in London all day. Why would he walk over here? Do you have to deal with people? End his day in the efforts of civility and the noise of numbers.
John Knightley just being confounded that anybody would want to socialise with anyone at all is so goddamn funny.
It's relatable too.
I don't want to be here. I'd rather be anywhere but here. But my wife needs discussion topics, so it's the only reason I'm sticking around, plus free food.
It's sleeting outside. If he could have just come to collect his wife so he can take her home, awesome. But no, because he's turned up, the party's going to go longer. What is wrong with this guy?
Can't disagree with him though. Especially because he walked there. He hasn't taken a carriage or anything to get there. It says he walks there.
In the sleet.
In the sleet. Bro, no party's good enough for that. Yeah, your wife's at that party. Take a carriage, pick her up, get out of there. I guess like all your friends are there as well.
We're newlyweds. We need to be alone. I miss my wife. Run away. He turns up with a letter from Frank and is like, read it. Also, I may have already read it. I'm sorry.
That's actually the reason that he's gone there. He wasn't there to go get his wife. He wasn't there. He just wanted to boast that his son is coming home. He just wanted everyone to hear the news. He's like the town crier. Ring, ring,
Frank is coming.
ring. Frank is coming. Frank is coming. Ring, ring.
Very clearly says to Mrs. Weston, read it to Emma. So that Emma can get the first news, because remember, they're trying to get Emma and Frank together. He calls her Anne, my dear. It's the first time that we find out Mrs. Weston's name.
We haven't heard her name because she was referred to by her maiden name, and now she's referred to by her married name.
Emma never called her by her first name.
No.
The Churchills are going to be in town, which is London. Mrs. Churchill is as impatient as the black gentleman when anything is to be done. I don't know what that means. Are they talking about death?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
That also I have to go, is this something else about slavery? Because we've already talked about it in this chapter?
Yeah,
Should this be offensive?
Let's do Google. The black gentleman is a euphemism for the devil. And she used the phrase a few times in her writing and in her letters.
If you're referring to the devil as a black gentleman, no wonder people were racist.
Is this like a subtle racism against black people from this time? Because it's clear that she is a pro-abolitionist slavery. Or is this like just a colloquialism at the time? Because her father was a priest. Maybe that was the way so that you don't invite the devil in by talking about him or saying his name. Could that just be another way to be like... You know.
Yeah, because they're very careful about mentioning.
Yeah, a way to refer to the devil without actually calling him that.
The whole thing just makes me uncomfortable. And it's so interesting that we've never noticed it before.
Again, really easy to overlook things. My brain is just like, oh yeah, that's just how they talked in olden times. Actually, what do they mean by that line? It's not just some throwaway, old-timey language kind of thing. It's actually got a double meaning.
Is he implying that Mrs. Churchill is the devil?
She is kind of the villain of his story in some ways.
They like to make her the villain, don't they?
They really do. She's not a bad person. She's actually pretty good. She looked after Frank.
It's hard to tell because we don't actually know what happened. We only know from their ends, and he's like, they have my son and I don't get to see him, and Frank's like, she doesn't let me do whatever the hell I want.
I can't bang my girlfriend.
It's kind of teenagery of him.
Kind of overlooks like for at least a little bit of like actually how much Mrs. Churchill would have done for him, taking care of him. Although we did then say that because when he gets the news that she's sick, he goes to her to see her and check that she's okay, which is actually one of the better points of Frank's character. She's probably not this awful character who we kind of think of as this like pseudo-villain for keeping Frank away and not letting him be with Jane.
She's just living her life.
She's just an old woman who's set in her ways. And I wonder which other old person in this book is very set in their ways who we've talked about many, many times.
And it's always the rich old people that can just do whatever they want and everybody else just has to dance around them. It's really good that Jane got that letter this morning because imagine how awful it would be to find out that your boyfriend's coming from his dad and you have to pretend like everything's normal.
Because Jane picked up her letter, was it this morning? And Mr. Weston's been away all day, so at what point did he get his letter? Did he write them both and send them together at the same time?
Possibly.
And they both arrived to the post office? Also, the people who run the post office in this town must know so much just from the context of like, this letter from Frank Churchill has arrived at the same time as the one from Weston, but he's written this to Jane Fairfax. I wonder why he's writing to Miss Fairfax.
You can't write to a woman that you're not engaged to. It's scandalous.
He's not putting a return address on it, so maybe they don't know who it's from. But surely you can compare the handwriting pretty easily. We've just talked about the handwriting.
Oh, Mr. Weston got a letter from his son. Look how the handwriting is exactly the same on the one to Miss Fairfax.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel if I worked in this post office in Highbury, I would be like, y'all, guess who's writing to who? I didn't even need to open it, but actually maybe you could just like reseal the wax a little bit and like open it and have a look.
This is why you do not work for the post.
Yeah, I could not be trusted. I just look through the books other people are ordering into the shop.
Mr. Weston, after telling Mrs. Weston and Emma, tells everybody else. Mr. Woodhouse and Mr. Knightley don't appear to be particularly delighted. And then when he goes to talk to Miss Fairfax, she was very deep in conversation with John Knightley. I'm just going to be busy over here so they don't have to tell me, so I don't have to act anything.
I'm totally not super excited. I'm totally ambivalent about all of this information.
I don't care. He's not my boyfriend.
He's just some guy. I've only met him like a couple of times.
Yeah.
That piano was totally not from him.
The chapter ends with Mr. Weston going to tell Mrs. Elton. So I think most of the next chapter is his conversation with Mrs. Elton, which, ugh. So you have that to look forward to.
Yay.
And that is our discussion of chapter 35 of Emma by Jane Austen. I've been Frances Malkin. This has been Rachel Pilwer.
Bye.
Thank you for listening, and we wish you happy reading.
Guys, take your drugs.
Take your drugs. Take your Jane Austen.
Take your Jane Austen. Have you had your Jane Austen today?